for this. Messina was willing to bet that this man's death was no suicide or accident. He dug in his pocket for his phone and thumbed in the number for the county's major crime team. After getting an assurance that the medical examiner would be there ASAP, he ordered Brady to stand guard over the body and then headed for the hotel. He had work to do, and he had the feeling that things were going to get pretty complicated before this was over. Vivian Wainwright folded her arms and cast a critical eye over the 8 tables set out in the dining area of the willow-patterned tea room. Snow-white tablecloths, pale pink napkins, English bone china teacups and saucers, and small vases of white daisies. Everything essential for a traditional British afternoon tea. Still missing were the teapots, milk jugs, and the tiered cake stands, bearing delicate crustless sandwiches and delectable pastries, and of course pots of strawberry jam and cream for the scones, all of which would be placed on the tables after the customers were seated. Although the tourist season had wound down, all the tables had been booked for this afternoon. The locals had made the tea room a popular place to spend a leisurely hour or so indulging a sweet tooth. The sun aimed its full strength at the windows in the afternoons. Vivian had recently found white curtains patterned with delicate pink and blue wildflowers that shaded the glare without blocking the light. They reminded her of an English garden, like the childhood garden in London her mother had described to her. So much nicer than the pink-striped ones she'd bought when she'd opened the tea room 2 years ago. Everything was ready in the kitchen, so she had a few minutes to relax before her customers arrived. She was debating whether or not to open the carton of tea towels that had arrived from the UK this morning, when the doorbell tinkled. "Sorry I'm late." The vigorous woman striding across the room thrust a heavy strand of black hair away from her face. "I stopped by the wine shop on my way here, and you know how Natalie gabs. Took me 20 minutes to get out of the store with this." She waved a bottle of wine at Vivian. "That woman's flapping tongue will get her in trouble one day. She needs to button it once in a while." Vivian hid a smile. Natalie Chastain owned the Sophisticated Grape just down the street, and was notorious for knowing everything that was going on in town long before anyone else. If you wanted to know something about somebody, you asked Natalie. What she didn't know, she'd move heaven and earth to find out, just to be first to spread the news. "It's okay, no one's here yet." Vivian took a closer look at her friend. Jenna Ramsey had been her assistant and consultant since the day she'd opened the willow pattern. It was Jenna who'd suggested the name, pointing at the willow pattern plates Vivian had lovingly placed on the walls of the tea room. The plates had belonged to Vivian's late mother, Angela, who'd met her future husband when he was stationed at an American airbase near her home in the UK. Although she spent most of her life in America, Angela never lost her accent or her hometown traditions. Growing up with an English mother had instilled in Vivian the British customs and culture that fostered her lifelong dream of opening a tea room. It had taken more than 60 years, but now the dream was hers. Its success was largely due to the tall woman standing in front of her. She loved Jenna like a daughter, almost as much as she adored her own 2 daughters. "Are you okay?" Vivian frowned. "You look a bit flustered." For an ordinary person, that wouldn't be surprising, knowing how annoying Natalie could be. But Jenna was not an ordinary person. She rarely showed emotion, though she was very good at rattling other people. Jenna was blunt to the point of rudeness at times, but she was a hard worker, a loyal friend, and if someone was in need, always the first to offer help. Right now, however, her flushed cheeks and overbright eyes suggested she had more than Natalie's gossiping to worry about. Obviously, she wasn't ready to share, however, as she dumped her bottle on the counter, declaring, "I'm fine, just irritated by that airhead." She looked around at the inviting tables and across the room to where imported British foods and gifts filled the shelves, tempting customers to buy. "Where's Gracie?" "I sent her out to the bank with the deposits. She should be back."